Hello everyone. So today what we're going to be talking about is when the police cover up crimes either through willfully, not actually trying to investigate, or by leaving out key facts to the public. Um, I will just ask though, if you do like what I'm doing, please do like this video, please subscribe and do comment. It's an open forum, say whatever you like. Otherwise, we'll just get into it. Now, when we talk about sort of police cover-ups, I'm not talking about the sort of, big conspiracy theory things, like, the grooming scandals where we know full well that the police were implicit and they were covering the tracks for people, the council involved, social workers, all that stuff. I'm talking about the sort of normal day-to-day sort of crimes where a lot more people are sort of being affected and we're seeing evidence of the police hiding the details from the public or just not going ahead. So, what is the actual purpose of the police? So I was having to think about this, and I think there's three things the police really are meant to be doing. The first one is preventing crime. Now, to prevent crime, we simply have visible policemen around. Policemen, walking the beat in town centres, on high streets, in shopping centres, just having a physical presence so that if you are thinking about committing a crime, you might not do it because the chances of being caught immediately are quite high. The second thing I was thinking about was obviously catching criminals after the fact. So if a crime has been committed, you would expect the police to investigate, go find out information, collect evidence, and then arrest the perpetrator and then send them to court. The third thing I thought the police should be doing is public awareness. Now, to kind of put that in a bit of perspective, imagine you've got a neighbourhood that for the last week or two has had a break-in every night. Now, the police can't really prevent that because they can't obviously have a policeman outside every front door to make sure nothing happens. The second thing as well is going to be, well, yeah, they would be investigating, but again, if they haven't caught them at the time, then the break-ins are still happening. So the public awareness part of it would be then to go to the residents of this area and say, hello residents, in the last week, 5 houses have been broken into and valuables have been taken. Please be aware of this and act accordingly. Now, the purpose of this would be to make the residents more vigilant. So that way, residents may decide, okay, to reduce the chances of someone breaking into my house, I'm going to install motion sensor lights so that if somebody was to enter my front driveway or my garden, lights would appear and scare away said criminal. They may decide, actually, what I might do is I might actually reinforce my house. So, for example, if they've got any dodgy windows that, were a bit loose or things like that, they might obviously just get them fixed, secure their side gates and garden doors, anything like that, even their back doors or front doors, just to make sure that if somebody did try come into the house, they've got a much harder time, may give up and go somewhere else. So that public awareness part is actually quite an important part because normally when sort of big things happen, if there's ever been like a murder or a series of sexual assaults, the police will say this has happened, and the media will obviously jump onto it as well. But the police usually come out with a statement saying this has happened. Please be careful if going. And the whole purpose of that is to make people aware and try and keep them safer just through knowing about it. So what happens when the police stop telling you what's happening? Well, obviously, the reverse happens. If you're just willfully sort of walking through an area at night and that area has been subject to muggings and robberies for the last year or so, well, when you get robbed, you'll be like, oh no, how did this happen? Would the police go, well, actually, we've known about this for a while, we just forgot to tell you. So we're going to be covering a story today about where the police haven't actually made the public aware about something. It seems like they actually haven't been investigating and, well, they couldn't prevent it if they wanted to. So this is related to something that happened in Bournemouth. Now, the person who posted this, they posted it publicly on Facebook. I've hidden their name and their profile picture, expertly, as you can see. For the purpose of it is the content's been taken down on Facebook. So this I've taken off X. Yeah, so if you know who the person is, good for you. However, I'm not going to. I don't know what the law is around this, so I'm not publicly going to name them and drag it up. I'm just going to put their words out there and go from there. So I'm going to read it out with you, in case anyone's listening, and just take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. Now, just to start with, a bit of context of who this person is without outright naming them. This person apparently, because I don't know him, is a DJ from Bournemouth. Okay, so let's say DJs fall into some sort of characteristic personality of, let's say, like a liberal. People that like music, people that just want to enjoy life and make and help make other people happy. You're probably towards the left on politics, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. I know I shouldn't characterize people like that, but let's be honest, they probably are. So let's pretend this person is left-leaning. I don't know him, but let's just imagine they are. Now try and take the words I'm about to say in that sort of context and what it's going to take for a person like that possibly to come out and say these things. So, just to confirm, I'm fully recovered. Police asked not to upload anything due to potential backlash. Bollocks. Family and close friends said maybe to keep this quiet, but if this can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. I really mean that. I'm grateful I only got punched up rather than anything worse. It's been a week since this happened to me. I've heard nothing from the police. However, they're happy to patrol their hotels non-stop day and night so they're safe. This needs to be seriously addressed. I hate drama, but it has taken its toll on our town. Last Wednesday, I was waiting for a bus home before the England versus Congo game finished. Out of nowhere, 4 men started shouting at me, in Arabic, and hit me 3 times in the face. Then kicked me when I was on the floor, took my wallet and cash. Apparently, I'm lucky to still have my eyesight. Luckily, a lovely group saw this, chased them, called police and ambulance. Still waiting to hear from police. 10 days later, nothing. These guys were laughing, spitting on me, and fled the scene towards a certain hotel. So, for those who haven't worked it out, what this person's saying is he's been attacked by perceived asylum seekers. In Bournemouth, the hotel is most likely the Roundhouse Hotel, because if this is in Lansdowne, which in a minute I'll say it is, that's where they'll be staying. So, if you're just looking at it again, the police have said to him, don't upload anything because of potential backlash. So the police have told this person, please don't say anything. Because what they don't want sort of people actually knowing what's happening and then getting upset and maybe doing something about it. Friends and family, again, they said keep this quiet. Again, if this was from a left-leaning family, let's just say, again, I have no idea, so pinch of salt with this completely. Multiple reasons. A, they don't want their loved one going through anything publicly and they want to keep them safe and just say, right, something bad's happened, but let's let sleeping dogs lie. The alternative is, as we've seen many times, people on the left would rather let certain crimes go unanswered than have the sort of narrative actually come to light. It's suicidal empathy, but they're retarded. So now he says here as well, apparently I'm lucky to still have my eyesight. There is a photo of this person on X, and yeah, his left eye looks absolutely mashed up. It's darker than like a Smurf, and that's how dark it was. So, yeah, good on this person for coming out and saying it. But as I said again, 10 days later, the police have still said nothing. So, I went and tried to have a look for this. There we go. Sorry, I've got a naff laptop, but essentially, the police come out. After saying this, right, well, there we go. Please see our statement below. Dorset Police received a report 6:05 on Wednesday, 1st of July 2026 that a man sustained head injuries after being assaulted in the area of Lansdowne Road in Bournemouth Town Centre. The ambulance services were at the scene and officers also attended and spoke with the victim. It was reported that the offenders had left the scene. Obviously. It was reported that the victim did not require immediate hospital treatment and he was then left to care of a family member. Following the incident, officers have continued to carry out inquiries into circumstances of the assault and have had contact with the victim's family member during this period to keep them updated and arrange further contact with the victim. Our investigation remains ongoing. Now, as a reminder, 1st of July, the incident took place. 13th of July, the police have finally come out with a statement, only because the victim has publicly come out and it got picked up by a bunch of people on X, including libs of TikTok, who, unless you don't know, has got a huge following on X. So, that's the situation. Police have come out, not done anything, haven't made the public aware, because If 4 random asylum seekers are attacking people waiting for a bus in Lansdowne, I've worked in Lansdowne, I've been there at night waiting for buses. If I saw 4 asylum seekers walking towards me, if I didn't know about this, I might just be like, well, let's not be suspicious of them because we've all been brought up to think that's racist to be suspicious and to use stereotypes. If I'd heard of this story, I might go, right, okay, I'm gonna have my backup. I'm gonna keep them in my line of sight, and if they get too close to me, I'm gonna get myself into a position where if anything kicks off, I'm in a better place. No backs against the wall, nothing like that. Women as well. If women knew, okay, something like this has happened, then they can cross the road. They can definitely get out of Dodge just to make sure they don't get in these people's way. But the police didn't. They kept it quiet. That was July the 14th, they said, and I've done my research. Well, I've been Googling it, using AI to find any more. There's not been a peep out of anything since. And as I said, that person has now taken down that post on Facebook, maybe due to pressure from the police or who knows. So, this got me thinking, what other circumstances is it where the police do cover up things, or they cover it up by not telling you the truth? Now, just in case you think this isn't really that big a deal, let's pretend I'm cheating on my wife. I go to a hotel room with another woman and I stay the night over. If the next day my wife says to me, "Where were you last night?" and I said, "Oh, I was at a hotel room," and left out the sort of other part of it, and she goes, "Oh, okay." When she then finds out I was there with another woman, she's not going to think, "Oh, I lied." She's not going to care that I didn't actually lie to her. I just kind of, hid the truth. She's going to take a hammer to my you-know-whats, and that's going to be the end of the conversation. So, put it in that context, and this might make a bit more sense. So, if we could I ask Grok if you can just kind of give me some information about this. So, some contrast. When we were talking about the Southport killer, Axel Rudakabana, immediately, when it all came out, there was lots of disinformation the media was saying. Well, actually, they were the ones spreading disinformation because at first we were saying it was a Welsh boy, then we were saying it was a quiet boy, and then it ended up being, well, it was actually some nutter who'd been referred to by Prevent and had taken knives and stuff to school and had umpteen opportunities to have been stopped before it happened. Police didn't come out and say any of that. They just said, "Oh no, it was someone from Cardiff." Oh, sorry, it was a Welsh person. Immediately, just not giving you the truth because they don't want you to know the truth. And what happened as a result of that? Everyone got pissed off. Riots started happening because the police weren't forthright and telling you the truth. Another example, there was that Liverpool FC parade where there was that man in the car. He didn't drive into the crowd. He was in the crowd. The car got surrounded and then he drove through it basically because, well, if you've got a bunch of scousers knocking on your car, the safest thing to do is just to keep driving. Well, immediately they came out saying, yep, it's a white British man from Liverpool area, he's 53 years old, and there was a photo of him like a week later. Very different contrast to it. The other one, in Nuneaton, there was those 2 men, Afghani guys, asylum seekers, who attacked that poor girl, and she recorded the whole thing. Immediately, again, they didn't tell anybody that they were asylum seekers. I don't think they even mentioned they were Afghan. It just said 2 men are in custody for this. Again, they're not lying, but they are covering up by not giving you all the facts immediately. And we see this time and time again. And now, as you can see on the screen, the grooming gangs, essentially, same thing as well. They keep saying to you, oh, it's South Asian gangs. Well, no, it's Pakistani Muslim gangs. It's not South Asian. It's not Asian. There's no Japanese gangs running around Rotherham, grabbing children. But there are Pakistani Muslim gangs doing it. In Bournemouth, in a video I mentioned the other day, we had that big knife fight outside the college. At no point did the Bournemouth Echo mention they were asylum seekers. It gave the names of them, and if anyone could have worked it out that these people were not British. But again, by not giving you the full story, it essentially is covering up the truth. Because then you feel like you've got all the information, but you haven't. So, that's just kind of a short, sweet one today, guys. Just kind of like wrap it up and put it into context. As I said, the police are meant to prevent crime. they don't prevent crime anymore because, well, let's be honest, they don't really consider things a crime anymore. Shoplifting's off the scale. And they're trying to say, oh, unless it's over £100, it's not worth doing. So prevention is out the window. Investigation. What was it, like 95% of burglaries or something don't go uninvestigated and no convictions? They say there's not enough resources in the police. They just don't want to. The police are too busy going to your house for making videos like this, making offensive tweets, rather than actually catching people in the act. There was one case recently where somebody left their bike outside the Met office, Metropolitan Police office in London. It got stolen. The person who left it there was a journalist. It was on CCTV. They had like the tags on it and things like that. They had everything the police needed. Reported it to the police. They closed the case within 24 hours. Gave them a crime reference number for insurances, and that was it. It was only when it got blown up out of proportion they go, oh, okay, we'll actually check the images. They don't investigate. No more. No more. And lastly, the public awareness part of it. As I said, the police are going out of their way to not tell you what is happening. They want you to have rose-tinted glasses and just be blissfully unaware. And a very, very clear example of this was in the Bournemouth Facebook group yesterday. A woman went on there saying her and her husband went to Bournemouth with their autistic son. The autistic son wanted to stay in the car, and they were parked in the city centre, and they were like, okay, so they kept him in the car. Just walked off around the gardens, came back to their car. A man of, well, basically an asylum seeker, was chatting to their son and had the son's phone in his hands. And they were like, oh, what are you doing? Give us son back his car. And the way that this woman expressed this on her post was so, oh, I can't believe this is happening. Oh, this is such a shock. And it's like, well, if you've got your head up your ass and, and your head stuck in the sand this entire time, of course it's going to be a shock to you. But people that live in the real world know this is happening every day. So what you can do about it, the police aren't going to help you. Let's just be honest. If you're white, the police are going to go out their way. Look at Henry Novak. He was stabbed, lying on the floor. Police arrested him. What you can do, be more vigilant. Assume the worst. I know this sounds very scary, but let's be honest, it really is. You've got people breaking into built houses all the time. You've got people getting stabbed, murdered, assaulted for no apparent reason, no link to their victims. They just do it for fun. And if you want things to change, join any of your local community action groups. In Bournemouth, we've got Protect Our Postcode. That's a local group. We've got the Vanguard Safety Force. There's them. Now, they're a bit more specialised. They do patrols. In fact, yeah, we have our own patrols in Bournemouth because the police don't do shit. Okay? Be vigilant. Maybe, up to you, do some Googling and research into what you can carry on you to keep yourself safe. If you're a woman, carry a whistle. You're not allowed to carry pepper spray, funnily enough. You can carry deep heat, though. Who knew? And yeah, that's it. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Sorry it's a bit of a bleak one, but yeah, just stay safe out there and just be on your guard, be vigilant, and just always assume the worst, and nothing can surprise you. Bye-bye.